For most of you, this is your second job. It's not the job you're supposed to rely on for salary and benefits. We will be watching to see the sacrifices that you make. No employee, officials, or city council can live in a cocoon forever. All will have to take a pay cut sooner or later. It's a time you can be grateful if you even have a job. And in difficult times like this, people are actually willing to work for less just to have something coming in. I was shocked to read in a CNN poll that 48% of the people say that depressed times are coming to America. If you've lost your home and your job, those depressed times are already here for you. And many have in Warren as we go into the subdivisions and see all the vacant homes. In spite of this crunch, this is not a time to ask for a tax increase or even a water increase, but to make sure that everyone is doing their part by shared sacrifices. The middle class is declining. People are getting poorer. We can't continue the super pays, the super benefits, while so many of our neighbors can't even keep a home.
Please conclude.
Find the fat and the waste and keep the police and fire and EMS. And before you ever get rid of them, every salary must be cut.
Thank you.
And it's not going to get better, so please take care of business now. We have a city to save. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Henry Krzysztofczyk.
Madam President, distinguished members of council, City Attorney Henry Krzysztofczyk, longtime resident of the City of Warren.
Good evening.
At the beginning of the meeting, Councilman Liss cited something to you people, to the four of you, Bacamino, Warner, Stevens, Sadowski. You broke the state law again. How in the world do you want to be reelected? The articles of incorporations, the bylaws, the public act on the billing authority, mandates compensation for the ex-official. He told you, I mean, it's right there, alongside of you, Mr. Warner, and yet you broke the law. How can you come up to the residents and say, vote for me? You can't be trusted. You're not going to follow the law. Bacamino, same thing. Do you really care about the city, Mr. Bacamino? Line item budget. There's a question asked of you, and I shouted it from the audience that you're going to vote no. And you fumbled the papers and everything else. And you said, not at this time, no. Trouble is, it was not on your script, so you didn't know how to approach it. I don't blame you. If you people are lucky enough to be sitting there in November, and by hook or crook, you've got a fund balance. Oh, by the way, transparency, Mr. Bacamino. What is the fund balance total after this budget? Don't give me that 16% or 15%. Give it to me where everybody understands, like 13 million? You understand what that's transparency, but percentage is not. If you people are lucky to win a seat on this board, which I doubt, and if you think for 1 minute you're going to come up there and say we're going to raise your taxes to make up the shortfall, you're going to be tarred and feathered out of the city. Campaign on that. Say, I will raise your taxes to make ends meet at City Hall. And yet when you've got Kathy Vogt, Donna Colmartin, Mark List, and who did I miss? Mark List, Donna Colmartin, and Kathy Vogt, Mary Kemp, seasoned people, well-versed in the municipal law and experience. You don't listen to them. Why? My father taught me, always listen to experience. That's where you learn. You're being led astray. A lot of you people have good intentions, but it's going for net. Mr. Stevens over there is going to be fighting for his life There's only 2 openings in the position that he chose. He ain't gonna make it. I don't care what he does, he's not gonna make it. There's too many people out to get even with him. I'd like to thank Mrs. Simoleon about this audio system that we have here. Excellent. For once, I can understand what everybody's doing, and then somebody keeps popping off a timer, which is very annoying, Mr. Stevens.
Please conclude.
You holler about the audience having a cell phone on. And the other thing, Madam Chair, all due respect, how this council body can enforce the 3-minute rule when you people don't enforce the 5-minute rule on yourselves?
Correct.
How can you do that? Is that called a double standard? With that, thank you very much and good luck.
Our next speaker is Joel Vanderlinden. Good evening.
Good evening, Joel Vanlin, resident of Warren, longtime Warren resident. I'm coming up here to clarify a few items that was told incorrectly. The items about the sweeps in the city of Warren, the sweeps are done starting April, end in October. We start in the south end and work our way north. Yes, we do go across 696, and we get quite a few neighborhoods in the north end. As for the little slips, whatever, about people getting warnings, whatever, that's given to everybody throughout the city. It's not just the south end. Selective enforcement. Well, it's not selective enforcement. We get calls in daily. We go to every call. It's our job to go to every call and investigate. 85 to 85% of our calls come from the south end. Why? Because the neighbors there are tired of the blight, tired of the abuse and stuff like that that's going on down there. Mr. McDaniels came up here and said, I got 14 addresses and stuff like this, but I won't give them to you. Well, it's easy for him to come up here and grandstand and say, I got all these places in violation. If he would do the proper thing, he would call the city blight line. That's 586-574-4662, and we can address those items. Mr. McDaniels also made the comment at the last council meeting, if you go over the audience, that he stated that he used to work for Warren and did the job like he used to do. Mr. McDaniels never, in the 4 years I've been with the city of Warren, has never worked for the city of Warren. Now, we do have a problem going on, which has been brought up before, and I'll bring it up again. We do have people falsely identifying themselves as city inspectors. So while we're doing the blight sweeps and stuff like this, we're all wearing bright yellow t-shirts, the city of Warren on the back as inspectors. We even have caps on. If you don't believe someone is an inspector or should be on your property, please call the police. Call 911, make sure they have proper identification. Now, there was a question brought up about us going into backyards and stuff like that. Yes, we do. And I'll tell you why. These homes are posted vacant. They are posted vacant by the building department or the health department. And these backyards, we go through the gates, check the backyards because it's a dumping ground for some of the other citizens in that area. Or we check to see if windows are broken. We check to see that there's no rats or anything else. Or if we do find something, we take the proper steps with DPW or the blight busters to correct that situation.
Thank you, Mr. Vanderlinden.
Thank you. Just one more thing. That's it. Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Joe Dabrowski.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let me, get the timer there. Let's start from 0.
The first thing I want to comment on, you'll see here I have an envelope that's sealed, was sealed well in advance. The last council meeting, the council secretary had this envelope. It's never been opened. And the reason I did this was I predicted over a month ago how the vote was going to go on the budget. So let's see if I was right. The yeses were going to be Bacamino, Warner, Sadowski, Stevens, and Green. How do you figure that? And the thing that's ironic, the same 5 guys, if you look at their fundraiser tickets, every one of them were the same. Pretty ironic, wouldn't you say? I find that amazing. Like I said, this has been a month and a half ago I predicted this, and it was sealed, never been opened, so it's not a surprise. And then, like I said, it's really ironic that all 5 of their fundraiser tickets were exactly the same. Might have been a little detail here or there that was different. The penmanship was the same on all of them and everything. Really funny. One of the main things I wanted to talk about is that we got to come up with a better sign ordinance. If you notice here, candidate for city council has a sign in the right-of-way. And I've been noticing more and more of this all over the city. Wherever you look, people have signs in the easements, they have signs in the weeds. People have big, like 6x2 signs, no backs on them. They look really trashy. They're on the signs on the corner. You know, one side's on a pole sign and the other side's on a stake, but there's nothing on the back, so you're looking at raw wood, and it really looks nasty. There's a lot of them, they're up against a fence. Well, the next piece of property is all weeds. Is this their vision for our future? You know, they're next to vacant properties. It really, really looks bad. I got a mailer from Mayor Fouts, and on this mailer, it says, it's got this Buy American bumper sticker, and it says this sticker was not paid for with taxpayer dollars. What he neglects to tell you is if you're a city employee and you buy an American-made car, you get a $100 savings bond. What he doesn't tell you is that the $100 savings bond is paid for by the taxpayers. It's a shame. To me, it's like stealing. I didn't give him permission to do that, and he's not buying a savings bond out of his pocket. And then the last thing, this per diem thing is getting so old. It says per diem or reimbursement. A per diem does not require receipts. So we'll fight over 50 bucks, but we'll waste $1 million on a park that I'm hearing rumors now doesn't even meet state requirements. Thank you and have a nice morning.
Next agenda item?
Next agenda item is item 15A, Councilman Mark List, discussion in Ray, grass cutting in the city parks.
Madam Chair.
Mr. List.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for the floor. I was hoping that Henry Bowman would be here, and he wasn't able, or I wasn't able to confirm his attendance. I sent him an email, but because this item really kind of impacts his department and DPS, I'm going to ask to put this over for 2 weeks to the next council meeting.
Oh, he's here.
Oh, you're here. You must have been over at the festival ground setting up.
Just working upstairs. Henry Bowman, Warren Parks and Recreation Director.
Is that like a semi-normal time?
No, not at all. It's a billiard tie.
For you, that's semi-normal.
Okay.
Did you see this email?
No, I did not.
The complaint from asked me that our contractors are going through the parks and are not, there were several pictures involved too, that the contractors are not mowing the lawn, mowing it in a timely fashion, and not